Hey everyone, it's Mel from Crazy Desert Knitter, and I am coming to you guys from Phoenix, Arizona, the Valley of the Sun. Welcome to my backyard, and I don't know what else to say besides thank you guys for joining me today. Now, for all of those who watched the first episode, I truly apologize. For all of those who didn't watch the first episode, really great idea. I will apologize for my extreme nervousness and therefore my uber awkwardness. I know it's kind of a trend with everybody's first videos, but I do apologize just to let everybody know. So as I said, we are here in Phoenix, Arizona, and yes, I am kind of wearing a little bit of a sweater today. It is kind of chilly, and I say chilly and it's like 68 degrees outside. For us, this is kind of winter, so we don't get too much colder than this, gotta be honest with you. But I thought it was a beautiful day and our house is a wreck, so I am filming to you guys from the steps of my spa in our backyard. So if you guys can see, we've got some cacti behind us, and you guys can't see this, but I'll actually like swing you guys around. This is actually an open wash that's in our backyard. So isn't that kind of cool? And our super messy pool that I have to clean. A fireplace that we never use. So there we go. So that's where I am filming to you guys from today. Woohoo! Okay, a little bit. There we go. So I'm not completely out of camera range here. So this is going to be a very short episode, or at least what I think is going to be a short episode. Not 100% sure. Something else I wanted to bring to you guys today is a hope that I'm not going to say as many uhs and ums as I did in my first video. Again, welcome to extreme nervousness, therefore super awkwardness. I was told I'm entertaining. I don't think I am, but whatever. But I also have to show you one more thing. So I'm doing this from outside, and our entire backyard is covered in rock and stone. Basically, in the steps of the spa are stone. So I brought, and I wear my pug slippers. Pug slippers. Okay. Hey everyone. So you guys are probably wondering who this is in my lap. This is JD, and he's a little blind at the moment from valley fever. So we are working on getting that taken care of, and it's going to take us about a year to get it completely taken care of. But he will be getting better soon, and he decided he wanted to come up and say hi to everybody too. So here he is. He'll probably be more of a staple when he's feeling a little bit better than he is right now, but he wanted to say hi. Yeah. So he is my child, if you guys can't tell. Okay, I'm gonna try to get him down, and I'll be back in just a second. All of that stuff's out of the way. Now on to some of the fun stuff. I have started to think, because we are getting closer to the big Christmas holidays, as well as like Hanukkah and things like that are coming up soon. And then that always means New Year's. And New Year's always, to me, means new goals and new challenges for myself. And so I've started to think about some of those things as well. And I'm hoping to share those with you either next episode or the first episode of the new year. And that to me is going to be my challenge to you as well. Start thinking about that kind of stuff now, and maybe we can share some of that with each other. Also, see, I did it again. I just said, I'm normally a better speaker than this. Back to what I was saying. To those of you who have tried to look me up on Ravelry as Crazy Desert Knitter, I am having a little bit of problems, just a little, setting up the group for Crazy Desert Knitter. You can find Crazy Desert Knitter on Ravelry, but you cannot find the group for Crazy Desert Knitter. I thought I had it set up. I had a friend that went to check it out for me to see if they could sign up for it. It hasn't worked out so great. I don't know why. But I'm still working out the kinks. So please bear with me. If you guys have any questions or comments, go ahead and leave them in the description boxes below, or the comment boxes that you guys can always find here on YouTube. And I will be happy to answer as much as I can, as always. Or leave me a message on Crazy Desert Knitter on Ravelry, and I will get back to you as well. So start thinking about all that kind of stuff. Hopefully I'll get everything up and running, and we'll be all good. As I said, probably gonna be a kind of a short episode today. So I wanna like kind of jump right into enhancing the stash, because I only did a smidgen of that so far. So The first and foremost thing that I went ahead and I enhanced my stash with was some 220 Superwash Cascade wool yarn. This is a gray color. Let me actually read it to you. Nope, doesn't tell me exactly what colorway it is. It is gray, and I can't really see it because I kind of have a glare on my phone right now. I can see that you guys can see, but I can't tell if you guys can actually see the colorway. It is like a lightish, it's not really light gray, but it's not really dark gray either. It's kind of in the middle, so it's a good gray. It's a solid gray. And I got this for the Pandemonium Panda hat. I actually wound up buying 2 of these when I finally found one here in the valley. Most of the knitting stores here in the valley don't carry Cascade wool, Cascade yarn in general, and the 220 Superwash in particular. So, hey. So, I went ahead and I bought 2 skeins of this. I would qualify this as a light worsted / slightly heavy DK. I wouldn't really put it as a heavy DK, or a heavy worsted. I'm sorry, heavy worsted. It's more light. So if you guys are looking to do this and you guys are trying to match this, I would say it's more of a heavy DK light worsted weight. Oh, we have a hummingbird. So pretty. Sorry, distracted. So that's kind of what you guys need to look for. Not like a true worsted weight yarn. I mean, if you guys are using Red Heart, it's going to be a little bit harder, and I will show you guys why in a few seconds, because I'm using it and I don't want you guys to run into the same problems. So that's my first enhance the stash. And my second enhance the stash was on what they call Small Business Saturday here in the United States, which is the Saturday after Thanksgiving holiday, where basically we give thanks for our family and friends and all the great things we have in the world, but also we get to stuff our face with food. So, but right after that, there's Black Friday, and then there's Small Business Saturday. And one of my really great dyers that I really love is Moonstone Dyeworks. Actually, she went ahead and she held a Small Business Saturday sale on her Etsy shop. And she gave like 20% off of her hand-dyed yarn. And I didn't learn about this until like halfway through Saturday, so I didn't have time to get on to order until Saturday night. There was very little left, but I kind of got what I wanted anyways. And I wanted to show you what this is. It's Moonstone Dyeworks. This is the colorway. I don't know if you guys can actually see. I'm gonna actually hold it closer and hopefully my phone will focus. I'm gonna put my head behind it. There we go. It's like it's a merino single. It's 100% superwash merino single ply yarn, and it comes in 100 grams, 400 yards. It's hand wash, lay flat to dry yarn, obviously. Is always suggested, even with superwash. I'm gonna readjust here. I am sitting on the steps of the, and the name of it is called Waxing, and it's not really gray. It's not really brown. It's this really interesting. It's not even purple. Like I would actually probably put it more in the browny gray family but it's very tan, taupey, purpley, browny gray kind of. And out here it looks totally different than it does in my house, just to let you guys know. Her picture on the website totally does it justice, by the way. So I'm actually linked you guys down below to Moonstone Dyeworks website, where I don't know how frequently she updates or anything like that, but she's got some really beautiful yarns. Oh my gosh. So always go ahead and check out Moonstone Dyeworks. And she also runs a podcast called Squarrel Pie Productions, I believe. I'll also link you guys to that podcast. It's on here on YouTube, and I think she's really great. She's really entertaining to watch. But I would love to interview her sometime, so I'm hoping that maybe she'll watch this and contact me, or I can contact her. But, okay, I'll contact her, let's be honest. But this is really beautiful. I have no idea what I'm going to make with it yet, but it was so pretty, and I just had to get it. And I originally bought this as I'm part of a couple of like Secret Santas for knitting groups, and I bought this for that. I don't think I can give it away. It's so pretty. I love it. It's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. So I did, since I'm outside, I did kind of leave it in its packaging, so I'm going to put it back in its packaging. Okay, so that is everything me finish closing this up. Okay. So that's everything I have for enhancing the stash. And, you know, kind of going to that, I've also been so focused on other things that I haven't really casted on a whole lot new or finished a whole lot old. So let's go ahead and just kind of go on to not quite on my needles yet, or desired to be on my needles. So you guys remember I mentioned the Pandemonium hat from last time, and these really cool, and I do apologize for the print job. This print job does not do it justice. These really cool, oops, spider socks. Spider socks! And the spider socks are by Terry Knight, and I'm gonna, Terry Knight, she's gonna be kind of listed down over here. And they're really cool and they're really fun, and I really want to make them for my friend. However, I don't think I'm gonna quite get them done by Christmas. So I'm thinking about making her like a skull hat, because she's really into spiders and skulls and anything Halloween oriented, because it also helps that she was born on Halloween. So isn't that fun? So I am going to try to think about doing that, and I am going to do the spider socks eventually, but I don't know if they're going to get done before Christmas in order to send them to her. So she does know I'm always late with Christmas gifts, so it shouldn't really be a surprise to her. All right, I'm going to grab a quick drink. If you guys don't have something to drink, whether it be your coffee, your tea, your wine, something stronger, something caffeinated like I'm drinking Diet Dr. Pepper right now, go ahead and grab yourself a drink. And of course you're knitting, and come join me. Alright, also on my list, and this is a horrible picture. Again, I printed this out and I didn't realize that my printer was basically out of ink. But I am making, and I do apologize for this picture. Yeah, it's horrible. I don't know if it's actually going to come out. I'll try to put another picture in there. I'm going to be making a baby blanket, and I don't actually know the name of this baby blanket. I'll try to put it on this bottom part of the screen there. But it's got like little cabled bunnies on it, and with little tails, and I thought that was so cute. A friend of mine is having a baby in the next week or so, and I kind of forgot. I haven't seen her in quite a few months. And then her and her husband are going to be going back to India. They're here in the United States for a while to visit her family, and for the child to be born here in the United States, and then they're going to be going back to India where they live. And so I definitely want to get that done before I go. It calls for a bulky yarn, a chunky yarn. And so I was thinking about, I know everybody's going to cringe when I say this. This Chunky Special by Stylecraft. It is 100% acrylic, premium acrylic. I don't know what premium acrylic means, but I do know it actually washes pretty well. I did make a cable blanket for my cousin because she's got a lot of dogs, and so it had to be washable for that reason. So I was thinking about using this as well, because I know it's, you know, washable and it's chunky and it's sturdy. It was relatively cheap. It wasn't like it was going to cost me, you know, hundreds of dollars to do this baby blanket. And with the amount that I needed, I definitely needed to have, you know, I need like 800 yards. So I definitely needed enough of this, and I had this in my stash. I'm thinking this is what I'm going to make it out of. And I know everybody cringes when you say acrylic. You're like, ugh. I get it. However, it needs to be easily washable. So it's a baby blanket, guys. So there's that. Okay. Not quite on my needles yet. I'm done. That's all I have for that. And now I have my on the needles work. And if you guys are with me last week, you will remember that I said I don't like having more than one project going at a time. That still holds true. I don't like having more than one project going at a time. However, my first project, I was so unhappy with it for so long, and I wanted so much to basically throw it against a wall and never touch it again, that I figured it would probably be a good idea to put it down. So if you guys don't know what we're talking about, it is, let me actually pull out the picture for you guys. It is, I buried it in my pattern. Of course I did. It is the Odell top. And it's coming along well. There are a few things I will tell you. Definitely knit it in two pieces. Don't try to knit it in the round. I figured that part out when I split for the sleeves, to be honest with you. And I was at that point last time, I think, or I was almost at that point last time when I was about ready to split for the sleeves. Go back in my pattern. Okay. So I was almost at the point where I was splitting for my sleeves last time. So I'm definitely well beyond that point now. I have the whole thing sewn together. And I have part of, oops, let me actually show it to you guys right way up. Sorry. There we go. I'm having my yarn catcher was like holding my needles down. So this is my yarn catcher. It's actually originally a thread catcher, and it's got 2 tiles in it, so it can sit on any table or the side of your chair. This was designed as a thread catcher for kids, and I was looking for something to hold my yarn one day when I was knitting, and so I walked into my mom's sewing room, and I'm like, ooh, yarn fits! She now makes multiple sizes for yarn. Much to her dismay, let me tell you. Okay, so if you guys can see, oh, we can't see, oops. Okay, so this is the whole top. It is kind of big, and I'll definitely, when it's completely finished, I'll get you guys a slightly better picture of it. So you guys can see here is the neckline, and then we have the 2 sleeves on either side. And so it is done, it is sewn together, and I will not actually show you guys the seaming. Okay, actually will show you guys the seaming on the arms. I was not happy with how this thing sewed together. It took me like 2.5 days to sew this thing together. And when I say sew this thing together, I just had to do the top seam, like the shoulder seams, and that was it. Like the shoulder seam on top and then 5 stitches under the arm, right? Should not have been this difficult. And it's not like I don't know how to sew, because my mother is a sewer, she's a quilter, she's a seamstress. I've known how to sew since I was 5 years old. And I normally can make things look seamless. Like this sweater here, you can barely tell where the shoulder seam ends, and like you can't find the top seams. I'm normally really good about this, and this sweater was that first thing I made that I talked about in episode 1 after only making scarves. And I sewed it together, not a problem. This top, 2.5 days I tried sewing this thing together. 2.5 days. Yes, you heard me right. Days. Days. And I'm still not happy with how it looks. I mean, it got to the point where I'd ripped it out like 3 times. I've ripped out my sewing 3 times to redo it. And then I asked my mom to do it. So I brought it to my mom, and I was like, hey mom, I'm having problems with this. You can seam fabric together really well. Can you help me out with this? She's like, well, in order to not lose a whole lot of seaming structure in the shoulders and the arms and the neck, she didn't have any more luck than I did. So this is what, I don't know if it's actually going to come out on camera, and I hope it does, but this is what I had problems with. Like, this is how bad it looks. It's like all janky. Like, there is like no goodness to this. And it is like really bad. Like, I've never, even when I was 5, I didn't sew anything this bad. So, and this was my final good version. Does that tell you how bad it looked? I found that when I was knitting this top, and I kind of looked on Ravelry, and I was looking at some other people's comments about it, and that's when I learned that everybody was saying it was really hard to sew together. It was very, very difficult to sew together. Because the way they have you decreasing for the shoulders, if you're not an extremely diligent, and you don't think about this when you're doing it, when you're decreasing for the shoulder, they decrease in 4 stitches, you knit the rest of the row, you purl back, so you have, you know, stockinette stitch, and then you decrease the following row when you have another knit row, or other side purl row, depending on what side of the top you're on. And you have like this little 1 stitch, like you jump 1 row. So if you're not really diligent and you don't make that stitch really nice and tight, I mean tight, you're gonna have these huge jumps, which are gonna give you these gaps, which are gonna give you holes. I don't know if you guys can actually see that, but it's gonna give you, maybe it's this way better. I don't know if you guys can see some of those like little tiny holes in there. I think you guys can. And I absolutely hate that. Now, some people were like, You're never going to see that because it's all the way up your shoulder seams. Who's going to look at that? But it bugs me. It really bugs me. So I decided that after I got the I-cord around the neck, I'm like, well, because it makes you put on an applied I-cord. I kind of sat there going, why can't I just put one along the shoulder seams too? So that's what I think I'm going to wind up doing, is I'm going to take like an applied I-cord like I did around the neck. Didn't see that. And I'm going to put it along the shoulder seams because you're supposed to go around the arms, and that kind of stopped partway through an arm because I was extremely frustrated. Here, we can actually see this arm better. I was extremely frustrated, and I was to the point where I was like, okay, if I don't stop now, I'm really going to make a whole lot of mistakes, and I'm not going to like the way it looks, and then I'm just going to get frustrated, and I'm never going to wear it, and I didn't want to spend that much time on this top and never wear this top. So we're going to do that. And something else that I noticed, that down in this area, you guys can see that, like my I-cord, my applied I-cord became very loose, because you guys can see like that huge gap. Like you guys can see my thumb in there, right? Whereas up here, it was nice and tight. You guys don't have that same thing that you do down here. Now, I also looked online and I was like, okay, is anybody else having problems with this? Well, it turns out a couple of people did, a lot of people didn't, and it had to do when they cast it back on to start doing the I-cord, how tight you cast it on. So my options were to rip off the entire I-cord altogether, because I didn't really notice it happened until I got done. Or, as my mom suggested, being the smart individual that she is, go back in with some extra yarn, because I have about half a skein left over that I haven't even touched yet. Like this one hasn't even been touched yet, and I still have this much left to do the I-cords around both my arms, and I'm halfway done with, or I'm a quarter of the way done with one arm. To take some extra yarn and then go back in and stitch the two together. So don't take it completely apart, just stitch it together. Which I think is actually what I'm going to wind up doing. So, because I've got, again, it's just that V, and my mom was pretty sure, because she's getting better, really good at, actually she's getting really good at construction. With the way that we opened up the V, it had more pressure and different types of pressure and things put on that V and how that V opened. And so by doing so, it caused, when I cast it on to do the I-cord again, it caused that to kind of go open. So again, really good pattern otherwise. But the little thing is that, as I said, guys, I'm not an expert knitter, so I don't have a whole lot of stuff to go with except for my own experience and what I can get from other people. And so it still definitely needs to be blocked and that kind of stuff. Not sure what the heck happened there. Oh, okay, that's weird. I apparently weaved in some ends that look kind of funky on one side. So it still needs to be blocked, and I still need to finish the I-cords. But I decided I needed a break from that because it was driving me crazy. Like cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs crazy. So put that down for a few minutes, and then I decided to cast on, because I wanted these for Christmas and I kind of need to get them in the mail. I decided to cast on Pandemonium. Didn't see that? Pandemonium by Karen Michelle, and it was a free pattern on Ravelry. I don't know if it still is a free pattern on Ravelry, but it was at one point in time. And that is what calls for this Cascade 220 sweep wash wool. And she did the entire hat out of each one of these. Like, she found, like, basically it requires 4 colors by the time you get done, by the way, of this. I had some other colors and stuff that I would like to use that matched, but I didn't have anything. I didn't have any gray left with the brims, so this is what I used. I actually did go out and buy that, but I want to show you guys what that looks like. And yes, I do have it in like 4 different places. So this is what Pandemonium looks like so far. I think I just finished part of the eye. You guys can't see that. So that's where I'm at. And the whole chart A is approximately 27 rows, and I'm 12 rows into chart A. And chart A starts right after you cast on an additional 24 stitches, or you increase by 24 stitches from your rib. So the rib is for, kind of folds up for that your hat, for your head. And because it's rib, they do have you go down a size, needle size. And so, but I, you know, kind of kept it otherwise. So I am using Cascade Superwash Merino for the gray. The white and the black, somebody cleaned out their stash a while ago and handed it to my mom, and then my mom turned around and handed it to me. So I'm guessing it's Caron Simply Soft. I'm guessing it's the Caron 100%, you know, 1 pound baby yarns, whatever that stuff is. I'm guessing that is the white and the black in here. I don't actually know for sure, but because they didn't have labels on them, but they kind of felt like acrylic. To be honest with you, they felt like acrylic. So, but that's what I had, and that's what I'm using. It was in my stash, and I don't want to have a whole lot of stash, so I do try to finish off my stash a whole lot. But so far, it's turning out really cute. Now, I will tell you, this is my first ever Fair Isle project. And I have done one other hat of this pandemonium hat. And I used a different yarn, and it didn't turn out so great. Because I was like, oh, it's worth the wait. Do-do-do. No. And I did have to go on, and I did have to learn how to do Fair Isle stranded knitting. And I did not know how to do this. And I learned this like maybe a month ago. So I practiced on one of these hats, and it turned out huge. Like, a giant could wear this thing and still had room. Like, and I thought because I knit really tight, I went up a needle size automatically. I always do. Even to just, I know from experience, to hit gauge, even come close to gauge, I have to go up 1 needle size. So I did. And I used what gray yarn I had in my stash. Again, I don't know what it was because it didn't have a label on it. I wasn't that smart. And so I just went ahead and did it, and I, you know, made it. It was cute. I mean, the pandas turned out great. The top turned out great. It just turned out ginormous. Like, huge. As I said, like a giant could wear it and still kind of have room in it. So I felt kind of bad about that. So I am using the Superwash Cascade. And it turns out it seems to be much closer to the actual size of a human head this time around. But that is the one, that first one I did is the one I learned on. And I didn't know how to do stranded knitting. I didn't know how to, you know, stranded Fair Isle knitting, same thing for me. I didn't know how to do it. So this is my first attempt at it. So that was the first time. Now, if you guys are have never done stranded or Fair Isle knitting, I strongly suggest starting with something that only requires you to work 2 colors at the same time instead of 3 colors at the same time, because there's a portion here through the panda heads that you are required to carry the gray, the white, and the black. And typically the gray you only want for in between, and then the white and the black are actually what makes up the panda heads, but you are required to carry them all the way through your knitting, all 3 colors. And when you add that 3rd color, especially when you're switching between white and black, even if you have those in 2 different hands, or even in the same hand, depending on how you like to knit, it just adds an extra complexity when you have that 3rd strand. Not saying you can't do it, but you might want to try one easy hat with just the 2 colors and then move on to the 3 colors. It can be done. I've proven you that it can be done, but just a thought. Also, you guys are going to look here and say, oh my gosh, she carries her floats. Like, she carries very small floats. I do. Now, I know a lot of knitters will carry floats every 5 stitches, or will pick up a float every 5 stitches. I don't like carrying them that long because I knit so tight that if I do that, my floats actually aren't long enough to not have my yarn and my knitting pucker. So I found if I carry them more frequently, i.e. like this, so like this one right here is I think my longest float that I have in the entire thing, and I think it's 3 stitches. I like to carry mine every 2 typically, just due to the fact that I knit so tight. And if I knit that tight and my floats aren't long enough, it just makes your knitting pucker, and that just, it's not very nice. It just doesn't look very nice. So that's kind of my little tip for you guys. If you're a tight knitter, pick up your floats a little more frequently than 5 stitches. If you are a really loose knitter, may not be a concern for you guys. But if anybody's like me, I'm a tight knitter, so I do pick my floats a little bit more frequently than everybody else does. That was a nice little tip from Andrea from Fruity Knitting. And she likes to carry hers frequent, like she likes to pick hers very frequently due to the fact that she's not a tight knitter, but she's not a loose knitter either. She typically knits directly to gauge, and she just thinks it gives a nicer inside look. I don't know if it gives a nicer inside look, but it does help me with my knitting, so that's why I do it. But you know, I'm also kind of strange. I know a lot of people carry when they're doing color work, they put it all in the same bag. Well, I have one bag for the gray, mostly because that's how I started. And then I have another bag that is actually put my other yarns in. This is what makes me think that this here is like a carrying 1 pound ball, because it's huge. And then this was just, you know, an extra. And it's divided, if you guys can't see that right there. It's divided. It's a Kona Joe's coffee bag. So if anybody's in Hawaii, you guys should totally go out, check out Kona Joe's. They have really good coffee, and they also have a really great cafe and eatery. Call ahead, get a reservation. Their chef is really good. We did that from when my brother was getting married, so we were in Hawaii. But I do like to separate all my colors. It just makes it a little easier for me. You're not required to. But hey, as many of you guys know that watch this podcast, or any podcast, kind of find what works for you. So that is everything I have. I actually do not have anything off the needles. Typically, this Adele top right here would be off the needles, except I got very angry at it and I wanted to throw it against a wall. So I stopped working on it for a while, and that made me very sad that I'm not done with it yet. But I am now in a happy place with it again. I don't really want to kill it like I did before, so that's really nice. What did I do this week? Or the last 2 weeks? The last 2 weeks I have put up the Christmas lights, and there are a lot of like little pointy needles on like everything in my yard. If you guys can see this big giant cacti behind us, his needles are like that long, and they stick you and they hurt. My mom's got that stuff all over. Like, actually that's all over in every yard in Arizona, to be honest with you. So I went ahead and I put up the Christmas lights, and then I came in and my hands were all like red from little puncture marks from all like the spines and needles and things that were kind of floating around in the yard. And so there was that. On Saturday after Thanksgiving, which is one day after I released my very first episode of the podcast, I went ahead and I gave a card class. I do my Christmas 20 cards class, and technically it's holiday oriented, but this year it turned out to be mostly Christmas. And basically what you do is you create 20 Christmas cards in a 4-hour block of time. So very fast, very easy. So I went in and I did that, and so after that I had no energy for knitting or anything else, and I just sat on the couch doing this. Because it's very high energy, very high stress for that 4 hours for me. So, but hey, I love doing what I do, so it was fun. And then, what else did I do? I haven't really done a whole lot this last couple of weeks. I went to my couple of knitting groups, which have been fun. It just got a little bit chillier here in Arizona, so pulled out a sweater for the first time. And slippers. As you guys saw, my pug slippers, I pulled those out for the first time too. And we haven't really done a whole lot. I've gone to the gym a couple of times. I've taken my dad, since he can't quite drive yet. He hasn't relearned how to drive. He's on his way to relearning how to drive, so that's really fun for us. After that, there hasn't been a whole lot of exciting things going on. Just mundane happy trails. I have decided that I'm actually going to try to make my first pattern. Oh my gosh, then everybody's so excited. So I actually decided, okay, I'm really excited. I don't know if the rest of you guys are going to be excited for me, but I decided to try to make my first pattern ever. So ever. I went looking for a pattern for a hat that kind of matched my favorite book slash TV series right now. I've become officially addicted to The Mortal Instruments by Cassandra Clare. I don't know if anybody's ever heard of those. Probably teens and adults kind of like to read those too. And apparently I fall into that category, but the really well written stories. And they actually they did create, and they came out with on Freeform TV network here in the United States. I don't know what it's called in the rest of the world, I'm sorry. They came out with a Shadowhunters TV series. And it's going to be in season 3, I think, coming up in early 2018. I think they're supposed to start releasing episodes for season 3 on like January of 2018. And so I went and I was like, hey, you know what? I want a Mortal Instruments hat. I want a Shadowhunter hat. I can't find one. I can't find a pattern anywhere. So I decided I'm going to make one. And when I make one, I'm going to share it with all of you. So you can make one too. Alright, we're going to give it a shot. There's no guarantees this is actually going to work. But besides that realization that I came to this week, there's nothing else new. I haven't done anything fun. I haven't done anything interesting. Alright, so I think that is everything I have for you guys today. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope this one is a lot less awkward and nervous than the first one I put out here. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you guys enjoyed this episode, please give it a thumbs up right down there. If you guys would like to see more episodes, please go ahead and subscribe. And this is Mel from Crazy Desert Knitter saying, please come back and see me. And in the meantime, just keep knitting, everybody. Thanks a lot. Bye.